Hey everybody, this is Anne. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host and disembodied voice, Justin. This may be a, oh, my camera is actually in the frame. I've switched my positioning, everybody. So yeah, we've got a little bit of camera sign here. Please pardon my camera sign. I'm trying to make it easy to reach the model. I'm not seeing any chats yet, so say hi if you're here. While I load up my paint. This could be a very short stream, guys. Depending. And of course, I have a clog. I'm still not seeing anybody talk. I'm lonely. There we go. Hey, Em. Woo. Yay. I have a person. At least I have one person. Let me see, light feather, bleached linen, plus a dab of rich leather. I see what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna shrink for a minute, guys. So for those who didn't know, I injured my back 2 days ago, and it was pretty bad. It was not a complete back spasm. It was not a oh my god, my back is dislocated back spasm, but it was about halfway there. So so my back is hurt, but I decided I would do this really short stream this morning just to essentially check in, say hi. And also I wanted a benchmark to see how I was doing, right? And you really aren't supposed to, as I was just telling Justin, you're really not supposed to just lie in bed after you injure your back. You're supposed to be a little more active, right? You need to re-engage your core. So this is me saying hi, re-engaging my core. But this could be a very, very short stream because if anything feels wrong, it's down. But I wanted to make the effort to show up. But yeah, I did a number on myself, so... Russet brown liner. We're mixing up our shadow color here for the wing shadows. I didn't do yoga. It wasn't yoga, Inara. Don't blame the yoga. No, what I suspect is, okay, first you should know that I have long-term back damage. So I've been here before. In fact, I put my back out really badly about 3 years ago. I was going to physical therapy for 6 weeks. So I know there's damage. Now, this was just one of those random things in the morning where you're doing a bend and you don't support your back. So yeah, hey guys. But yeah, I actually, I'm kind of a stickler for proper positioning and supporting my core. So I have yet, other than that one time where I tried to do the yoga thing and went, oh no. And that was minor. That was oh, this is bad. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, this time... It was just normal stuff, normal activity. I'm just screwed up, but it's okay. I'm working on it. The yoga is meant to help it. I mean, the yoga was recommended by my last PT person, so. Let's see here. What do we got? We got light feathers. We need bleached linen. We have that. Greater restoration. I need a cyborg back or something. Well, I'm feeling a little better. Yeah, so what it comes down to is that I really rested my back for the whole first day. And then yesterday I engaged a little bit. I really didn't spend any time in bed yesterday. I just, propped myself up in chairs and stuff. I took a very, very short walk, stuff like that. So the challenge today is just to get this stuff going and see how we do. And like I said, this could be, again, just for people who are coming in right now, this could be a very, very short stream since I am hurt. But I'm feeling okay this morning, and I can feel my back, which is good. Alrighty, so we're just gonna mix up our colors. If I periodically kind of go low in the camera, it's because I'm really, really kneeling low. I'm actually kneeling on a padded mat. I am all the stuff that we did on the wings before. So our shadow is 4 drops of rich leather, which is 9429, 1 drop of brown liner, which is 9064, and 1 drop of russet brown, which is 91.99. And we are just mixing all that up so that we can, yeah, I mean, they diagnosed me several years ago, Dragon, so the challenge now is just to manage it, rebuild strength, and all the rest of it. And soon I'll have a doctor out here, which is great. I see her on the 2nd. So that'll help. All right, so now I've got a creamy color for our light. So I'll show you what I'm doing. So here, this is a familiar slate for those of you who have been following the Sphinx wings as we go. We've got our mixture of rich leather, which is our base color. This golden color is rich leather, and it's also right there with a drop of brown liner and russet brown. Brown liner is almost a black brown, and russet is a burnt umber color. And then rich leather, which we're going to keep out because, you know, having your mid-tone around is very handy. Always, actually, on that topic, it's always handy to have your mid-tone around when you're doing highlighting, shading, detailing, anything. Because chances are, if you have to adjust something, you want your mid-tone. So having it right there is really, really good. Hey, Crowley, how's it going? Oh, yeah, you had back damage too, Dragon? Yeah. Yes, I would like adamantium. We can do Wolverine. Yeah, we don't want radioactive spine. That would be bad. I wouldn't mind being a cyborg, though. So, we'll just see. I'm going to try to keep my core engaged and see what we can do. Where are my glasses? Here they are. So yeah, but if Anne's head sinks from time to time and repositions, it's because I am repositioning. I have found that with my back, the more I can reposition, the better. Let's see here, and I'm going to lift this up, and I'm going to get a little closer. So what we're going to do today, and let's see if I can get my my reference photo over here. So here's our birdie. And what I want to do is to put in the light edges on these feathers and these feathers today. And maybe add some blue to the middle of these dark accent feathers. Just to see if I can get those to stand out a little bit more and be more like the photo. So having mixed up the highlight that I used before to outline these, if I glance over, I do need it to be a little bit more golden if I really want it to work on these feathers. So what I'm going to do is do a mixture of part of this. So this light color is a mixture of my rich leather plus bleached linen plus a little bit of this shadow. But the shadow has a lot of black in it because of the brown liner. So it's taking this a little gray, and I want this to be a little richer. So I'm going to mix a different puddle where I'm just going to use rich leather. Good morning. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid replacement parts as well. I mean, they've taken stuff out of me. But mostly they've just patched up what's there. I'd like to keep that trend going. But yeah, so don't be concerned if my head sinks. It just means I'm resting down a little bit and repositioning, taking some strain off. The giant eagle's actually less big than the rock dragon pink. The rock is our largest eagle type figure. I'm going to go 1-to-1 with this bleached linen. That might be a bit much, but I am going to put a drop of rich leather in it, so we'll see. Yeah, Grim Talon. Yeah, I don't have a back brace. I was just thinking about that, Shadow Raven. I don't want to depend on one too much, because like I said, the ideal is to rebuild strength, and so that my back isn't quite so strained. Like all gamers, I'm almost all gamers, I'll qualify that. Like almost all gamers, like many gamers and nerds, I have a weak core. So that's what the yoga and my physical therapy kind of seek to address. But when your stomach muscles are weak, your stomach and side muscles are really weak, they can't help your back. And so your back muscles end up doing a lot of extra work, and that's where you get back spasms. And if you're kind of out of alignment because you slump a lot and have a lot of weird postures, then you can get even worse. You're full of metal parts now. Oh no, Dragon. Oh no. At least, you know, if they're going to fill us with metal parts, the least they could do is give us interesting and cool attachments, right? All right, so we're going to make the edges of these feathers really light. because the light is really hitting those in the picture. And then this is not a bad color. I do feel like it's a little bit peachy. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of this. Like, I want to knock it down a little less orange. I'm going to kind of look at the color. Well, it is kind of honey colored, though. I guess I'll try this. We're going to go with it. We're going to see if it works. Yeah, the rock is like a foot wingspan, and the giant eagle for the elves, older, is about 6 inches, I'd say. It's still a big, it's 6 or 7 inches. It's still a big bird, but it's not as huge as the rock. The rock is the big. A bit better, Val. This might be a short stream. We'll see. All right, so I want to get this up to a level where I want to work on it, and then I'm going to actually focus in on it. We're going to see how this goes. I've got a bit of palette in the picture. We're going to move it back. That's a little better. Well, let's get really close, actually. Why not? Why not get really close? So I'm going to load my brush with a bit of this, and you can see how thin this paint is, by the way, because you see I dip my paint in, my brush in it, and it still makes a point. So it doesn't have a blob on the end. So right there, you know the paint is pretty thin. It's just adhering the hairs together. And then you want to get in here, and we are going to kind of highlight. We're going to use a brush stroke that goes the same way as the little quills on these feathers, but we're not going to hit every quill. Let me see, where's my sharpness? There it is. Yeah, we got a lot of color shift. There we go, much better. And since this is thin, notice that it's not drying too harsh. And if I want to bring it a little bit down, I can always put a little bit of my rich leather in there. Hey, Scrying Eye. Oh, yuck. That's bad, Dragon. I'm glad you survived, though. I'm glad you're here. Hey, it's always better to be here than not here. So, guys, for those who are new and who just came in, I did hurt my back pretty badly 2 days ago, so this probably won't be a long stream, but this is giving me my benchmark. So far it's been 15 minutes, and I'm thinking maybe I could do another 15. I wanted to do this now because I wanted to know on Monday what I was kind of going into. This essentially gives me, after this, I get 2 more days to recuperate, and then we'll see how it is Monday. So what I'm doing is I started out with this cream color, which I built from bleached linen, 4 drops of bleached linen and 1 drop of rich leather with 4 drops of water. So it's almost a 1-to-1. It's really thin. And then I'm brushing it. I want to get these edges to come up and be brighter. So, yeah, I almost, it was a proper back spasm, Carrie. It wasn't, didn't put it out. Like, I didn't feel like my back was in 2 parts. Like, I will never forget that back spasm. But it was definitely not happy. That said, I do need a paycheck, and so I am here. All right, so essentially I'm brushing in the direction that these little quills are going, right? And then, since it's really thin paint, as it dries, it's not going to show up like super strong. We'll let that dry and you'll see. But if I want to, I can grab a little bit of the rich leather that I have that I also thinned down about 1-to-1 and kind of, you know, I didn't even rinse out my brush, so I still have some of my lighter color on there. You can kind of see it on the brush. See the dark tip and the light body. And that'll just kind of let me wet blend a little bit if I want to blend this in. I'm going to rest myself. Hold on. As mentioned, since I hurt myself, I'm going to be repositioning. You get the top of Anne's head right now. I have a really good memory foam one that I love, Dragon. But again, I don't like to use it like all the time. But I did use it pretty heavily sitting yesterday. Yo, Rax. Yeah, well, Agent Marvel, it does help that I'm freelance now, so I did sit and get out my PDF for my Patreon, but doing a video is going to be harder. So I'm going to give it probably the weekend and then see what I can get back to on Monday. And although I do want to engage my back, I don't want to just like rest it, I don't want to engage it too much. So that's why this stream is just like a good kind of trial run. So here we are. So you can see how using thinner paint to do this, like if I had kept this color full strength, guys, you would see every light line that I was putting down on these wings, and it wouldn't have this nice blend. But because I thinned it, like almost 1-to-1, it's got 4 drops of bleach linen and 4 drops of water, and then I just added 1 drop of rich leather, which is our base tone color, just to make it closer to stuff. So now I can come in. Yeah, Twisted Oma, I wanted to get a baseline. Like, as I recover, I need to know, like, if I am recovering, like, at what speed I'm recovering and all sorts of things like that. So if I can do a half hour today, and then, you know, I take the weekend, and then I can do 45 minutes, you know, that'll give me kind of a baseline for my recovery and how fast or how slow I should take it. Like, I need to know these things, so there, see? And that brings out all the beautiful edges of these feathers, and even though I wasn't concentrating on hitting all of the quills precisely, if you wanted to, you could, but mostly I'm just using the same directional brush stroke, and I'm just going over the top, and if I hit, you know, if I accidentally hit inside, or in the crack here instead of on top of the little sculpted area, then I'm fine. Mostly what I'm trying to do is bring out extra details on the edge of the feathers and make the edges stand out. Yeah, essentially you can wet blend for really convincingly, but then you do need to take some lighter or darker paint, depending on the animal you're working on, and kind of highlight where the fur flares out. And especially in areas where the fur might be light, like on wolves, the fur is really light on the legs or on the thick area on the back of their rear legs and the tail and stuff. So essentially bringing out some individual hairs. You don't want to do it all over necessarily. All right. But yeah, so essentially since I set up this wing very broadly with just some blending, now I'm, you know, this is all just wet blended and blocked in. Now I'm coming back and sharpening up stuff. And animals do benefit from that. And it makes them look a lot more real. Because this looked fine before I started this, but now this area looks even better, right? And it fits my picture. So I didn't see your picture, Dragon, because I'm not sure where you posted it, but there we go. So see how that kind of, even though, like, again, since I'm using, if I was using this full strength, all you would see is just a line. But because I thinned it, it gets a blended look without me even, you know, doing anything really. And if I wanted this to blend in even more, if I did come up with too harsh of an effect, I could thin down my rich leather and glaze with it over the top of this to knock it down. I'm just going to rest my back down here. But anyway, any questions, you guys, on this? Like, we're essentially trying to make those light edges come out without being too, Oh, okay, under works in progress. Okay, I can take a look later. So yeah, stretching back, stretching back. Ah, I see. So it's an anthropomorphic animal. Oh, if they're saying edging like that, then they probably you need lining, and you need a highlight next to that lining. That's what they would mean, Dragon Pink. Although, yes, this is an example of that, because essentially lightening this edge makes this darker and makes these feathers stand out over the top of these feathers. So yeah, so yes, edging, if they're talking about that, if they're talking about one of your areas running into the next area, then yeah, you need to put some sort of shadow between the two, whether it's lining or just a darker shadow, or you need to lighten the edges, or both. Like, I could make these feathers and these feathers stand out apart from each other really dramatically if I brought in a darker brown shadow here. And in fact, when I go to highlight these feathers, the edges are going to look even brighter because they're going to be next to these dark feathers, right? So So yeah, so yes, this is kind of an example of that. All right, I'm gonna get up again. Probably I'll probably call it at 10, Justin. This is giving me a good benchmark though.
All right.
Roger.
Roger. So 8 minutes from now, just to clarify.
Yeah. Just do that. That way, we'll have had a little stream. We won't have had much of a stream, but then I can go rest. So, this is good, but I don't want to push it too far. And my back is definitely tiring out fast because, you know, it's a back. So yeah, so if I do this here, now down low next to this dark brown area, we're going to get a lot more dramatic effect. And again, brush strokes should always go, even if you're not hitting every little quill bit, like precisely, you don't have to. Just make sure you're going in the right direction. But yeah, so these feathers look light, but these feathers are popping out more because they've got the contrast of this dark brown right next to them. So, yeah. It really killed me yesterday too, guys, because I was watching art videos. I got some 2D art videos. They're on the face. They're about like kind of shading and highlighting and building the face, and they're mostly drawing videos, but they could really, I think, help for bust painting. But they got me super psyched to like paint, and then I couldn't paint because I couldn't make it work. I didn't want to risk it. Little bits and edges. So you see how those come out. Now we'll probably kind of fade these out a little bit. Like we won't do it quite as strongly as we get over here into the darker feathers. Like I could mix up, I have two options here. I could mix up a slightly darker variant to do these feathers because they're, you know, see how they're blended from the light to the dark. Or I could just use a lot lighter touch, maybe thin my paint a little bit more, or not make my little strokes as long. So I could still highlight these edges, but not as heavily. So I've got a couple of different calls. I probably am going to use this same color and try to just use a lighter stroke. And then, like I said, if I don't like it, I can glaze with my midtone and I can knock those back down. But I want to bring out those feathers a little bit. You can see how it looks a little much on this really dark feather over here. It's maybe a little bit too far from the base there. Stretch out the back. So you don't have to use the same edging color over the whole area for this. Like you can vary it up, and maybe you should. Because as the color shifts here, because what we're really doing is we're catching edge highlights on the wings, where the feathers are standing out and the light is catching them. So the color of your highlight isn't necessarily going to be the same color across everything. The top highlight will be, because that'll be directly the light shining, right? The light reflecting. But everything up to that top highlight, because we aren't quite there yet, is going to be modified by the color that the light is hitting. So you can, you know, take your highlight a little more orange or a little more of a reddish brown, or maybe just add a little bit more rich leather to it so it's a little more of a caramel color. And when you get to these big wings up here, because you still want these edges to stand out. The problem here is, since we did a wet blend, this area is all running together, right? These edges are lost because we've done that awesome stippling pattern. So our challenge now is to make these feathers stand out a little bit. These feathers are easy, right? You can see the contrast already. We just have to play with that. And then these long feathers also have highlights on them, but they're slightly different in the photo. So we'll probably, I still want to darken these a bit more, because remember, we did darken them on our other wing. And then we were taking kind of a blue-black highlight to them almost. So we're still working on that on this wing. But I just grabbed this one out the gate right now. So we started doing other parts on this wing. So confusing. I do have a longer reach for my paint cup. All right. Excellent. So overall, I call this successful back experiment. Let's try to, maybe I'll use my, my color that was a little bit too gray, this one. Maybe I'll try that on these darker feathers, because it is closer to the color that I used to paint those darker feathers. Although it might be a bit too much. That, and I may darken those down, but we'll try it. We'll try it. I had to add a lot of water to it, though. Remember, if you're too strong, you're just going to see all the little lines you put down. So I'm just going to try that. Yeah, see, that's really light. So probably too close. Too close. So I'm going to glaze over it real quick with my rich leather. Take it down a little bit. Maybe even have to take a little bit of my shadow color down if it's too much. That might be better. More like that. I just want a little bit. You don't want too much. If it's just a brown feather, it's just going to catch the light. The back is not good, Pendrake, so this is my benchmark, and we're going to actually call it. You logged in right before I called the stream. But I wanted to do a half an hour or so to kind of judge how the back was doing and whether the back could do this. So now I've got the whole weekend to recuperate. So that is the goal. But thank you all for showing up. Sorry that I didn't go for too long today. I just wanted to say, hi, I'm alive. So this weekend I will relax and keep myself. Yeah, Bob and Julie back issues. Yeah, you know it. I bet sculptors have back issues all the time too. It wasn't the chair. I mean, like I told Inara, it was actually just I bent over and just to do something around the house, and I didn't keep good core support, and there you go. Upper back. Oh yeah, because you do that all the time. Yep. Mine is lower back. So there we go, guys. At least we got a little bit of work done on the winglets. So on Monday, I think we've got Dancing Girl, which is a much smaller target, so we'll see how my back is for that. This has been good because it's a big, so I can actually keep my back straight while I paint really easily because I can be a little farther away, but I can still see the details. So yeah, we'll see. But we'll see how Dancing Girl does and how I feel on Monday. But yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate you showing up. Sorry I couldn't do something longer. Justin, I saw earlier there were many people out there to raid. Are there still many people out there to raid?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. Who are we going to raid today?
Let's see here.
Oh, and as a recap, since Collins likes me to recap, what we did today is we concentrated on making these feathers show up a little bit more, giving them a little bit of an edge so that each one came up crisply, in line with the way that our highlights work on our reference photos. See how these wings have all... And actually on this now, you can see how the color varies. Look at how bright the highlight is here on these light feathers, and look at that it's more toned down on these feathers, except for the tips. The tips get very transparent, they flare out a little bit, and they catch the light more. So that's what we're attempting to duplicate on these wings, or something very close to it. So that is what we were working on today.
We're going to be raiding Miniatures Den.
All right! Say hi to Luca, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. Happy Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I am going to be concentrating on getting better. We can do it. All right, guys. I hope you have a great one, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys very much. We'll see you this afternoon for Reaperland.